When teaching essays, have you thought about the order that you teach them in? Does it make a difference? I've been thinking about this lately, and here are my thoughts. So, does order matter when you're teaching essays? Obviously, since you clicked on this, yes, to me, I think it really does matter. So, there's a reason why. We typically start with narrative writing first at the beginning of the year. There's many reasons for this. And I've done it too. But then I realized that I was not getting the results that I wanted. So I needed to rethink how my essays fit into my structured writer's workshop. And one of the problems was that I had a bunch of eighth graders who didn't like writing about themselves. They didn't want to pick something from their lives. They didn't want to dig deep about something, particularly at the beginning of the year. They don't know me very well. I haven't given them any writing emotional deposits, which I talked about in one of my intervention videos. So they're just not ready yet, I feel. And most importantly, narrative writing actually requires all 6 of the writing skills that are in the structured writer's workshop. Here they are: voice, hooks, sentence complexity, figurative language, vivid imagery, show, don't tell. I expect my students to demonstrate all of those when they do their final narrative essay. And at the beginning of the year, we've only just kind of dabbled in voice and hooks, and then it's time to start writing an essay, and they're just not ready yet. So, what I've done is to decide the order of my essays, and I do all 5 of these each year. So here's the one I start with. I start with fables, basically, because the access point for a fable is it's pretty easy to enter into this world. We read fables, there's some really cool ones. The stories that have a moral, of course, which leads into our standard that we have to learn for the year. But it's also usually told about animals, and they really connect with that right off the bat. I do this after I've done voice, of course, and probably hooks. So, voice is where they're taking a point of view or a different perspective of an object, but now they're going to take that same skill, so all that voice, and they're going to put it into a fable of their own that they're writing about. And it's also going to teach them the basic story structure. So the SWBST is somebody wanted but so then. It's a good structure for plot that they can learn quickly. And they learn what theme is, which is basically the moral of a story. And because fables are so short, they're easy to read, to understand, and they're easier somewhat to write than any kind of narrative story. And they typically enjoy it. I don't get any complaints when we do fable writing at the beginning of the year. And then they share it, and then the class figures out what is the lesson to the story? What is the takeaway? It's a good interactive lesson to do. Next, I move on to compare and contrast. So this is kind of a difficult one, but we're digging in because the first 3 skills, voice, hooks, and sentence complexity, will be used in their compare and contrast essay. And what I typically do is kind of lean on shorter pieces of literature. Sometimes I've done video shorts and they've compared those. Or you could do poems, depending on what grade level you're at. You could do articles. So something that it's not a huge, long unit that you're doing. Although I will say, honestly, one year we did it. We read The Wizard of Oz, and they absolutely loved the book. And we decided let's do a comparison of the movie. And oddly enough, 100% of them loved the book better than the movie. They thought the movie was really goofy. Okay, and in this compare and contrast essay, they get exposed now. They're learning what is a introduction, what is a CER body paragraph, but you're doing it with, the source material is kind of easy to access with shorter stories, videos, or articles. All right, next we move on to informative. And what I like to do is have them create a visual essay with this one. It's where they have 5 slides at least, and basically, like, all the paragraphs are there. They don't even realize they're writing a 5-paragraph essay, but I break it down. Each one has to have some kind of visual. It has to have a graphic. It's great for teaching them how to make an infographic. And then this would be a really good one that you could have them do in front of the class and do an oral essay. All right. So that's what I do in semester one. So where does the second half of the year go from here? Because we still have, we're starting to dig into the rest of these skills here. So what's next? So as you can see, we've done fables, we did compare and contrast, and we did informative. So we have the last two here. Which one do you think would go next? Pause. Okay, here it is. Argumentative. So I start this right after winter break. This is the time when it's like, okay, you're back. We are going to dig in and we are going to make this a really, really robust essay. And when I say doing it with examples, I mean that we read argumentative essays, argumentative articles. We determine, what are they trying to sell us here at all different ways in which arguments are used. And then there's also daily argument writing where they're just basically doing like a thesis statement every day so that it's not so overwhelming once they get started with it. And then for this one's really cool to celebrate with audience participation at the end. So they're trying to argue whatever, school should start later in the morning. Now, before they give their presentation, they can poll everybody in the room and say, find out what their opinion is right now. They click it. Let's see what the bar graph says. Then they give their presentation and then they give them the poll again. So now what do you think? Has your mind changed based on this presentation? Most of them do change actually with after the students have shared. It's pretty cool. So it's a good way to get your kids involved with listening to each other. All right, finally, I do narrative at the end. This is because the narrative requires all 6 of the skills, and they're basically doing a symphony for me now. You're taking everything that we've learned throughout the year in our weekly workshop. This is it. And I personally lean into the wording of the exact standard for this. I might be different from some people, but it says to write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences. So I let my students choose. This can be something that happened to you, or it could be something that happened to a character, it has to be a human. But it has to feel so real that I don't know if this is fiction or nonfiction. So that's where they have to try and push themselves. And then that's where we do one more big celebration at the end. And they read their story. And this is where the class figures out, is this a real story or is this a fictional story? And they love the ones that do the fictional story. They love it when they trick everyone. I've had a couple of kids trick me who did such a good job. I was so impressed. So that's how I wrap up all of my essays for the year. Let's move on to another topic. And I'm going to share something with you. It's an update. I have a new video style right now, right? So what is this about? I am making some changes. The 6 skills that you saw are getting a really big update coming up here. So I'm going to show you what it is. First, all the digital lessons, I'm redesigning them so that they look cohesive. They're more streamlined. The kids kind of know what to expect when they see all of these lessons. It just feels more like a pulled together program. I like that. So all your digital lessons will be new and updated and fresh. And I'm also adding some special stuff in there for you. So it's extra material at the end. Then I am also including black and white printable worksheets to go along with those digital lessons because some of you are having your students write in composition notebooks. Some of you are doing everything digitally. Some of you need worksheets to put it into binders. So I want to give you this option. But this doesn't really explain why I changed the format of my video for today. So this will, here's the biggest change. I am also going to add videos that will lead your student through the writing skills. So if it could be that you share the video together as a teacher and pause it as you go along and discuss. It could be something that you assign individually. It'll be great for homeschool students or students who weren't there that day. You give them the video, they can follow along. So, what does that mean? If you've already purchased all of the skills, they'll be updated and you will get them for free. So, if you're on my email list and if you're in my Facebook group, you'll get the update first. So, make sure you're in there. And then if you are interested in these skills, I would go ahead and grab the cheaper version now. I'll put links and everything down below, and then you will get on my email list and you will get the update as soon as I get it done. Hope that helps. I'll see you in the next video.